Good morning, everyone. Today is Wednesday, April 8th, and today is AMI Day 13. So as always, we'll start our video with a couple of announcements. My only announcement for today is that we will have a Zoom meeting today at 3:30. So our Zoom meeting is today at 3:30, and we will be finishing our read aloud of Tuck Everlasting. So if you want to know how Tuck Everlasting ends, join us today at 3:30, and I'll be posting that link on Google Classroom, Remind, and Class Dojo, so I'll post it in all those places so you have access to that link. And we will start our Zoom meeting today at 3:30 so that we can finish our read aloud of Tuck Everlasting. So that's going to be exciting. I think some of y'all are going to be a little surprised about how it ends. So if you want to hear the ending of Tuck Everlasting, join the Zoom meeting today at 3:30, invite all our classmates so we can finish it together. All right, so that is the only announcement for this morning, so we'll go ahead and get started. So we'll start with today's AMI Day 13 work. So let me pull up the little page here on the side. So math today, option 1 is to complete the attached worksheet that they have there for you. Option 2, log into iStation Math and work on the math section for 30 minutes. So you can work on iStation, Freckle Math, ST Math, do any kind of math program for 30 minutes. And then option 3, you have the option to go to that PBS link, and I'll show you once again how to do that. So for option 3 on math, you have this PBS link. You'll just click on that link, and it takes you to the PBS math section. Mine's a little smaller because I have my screen minimized. So you're going to filter by grade and select 5 for 5th grade, and then you can choose any of the videos that they have there for you to watch as part of the PBS AMI work. So that's all you have to do if you choose to do option 3. You just click that link or go to that link, filter it to 5 for 5th grade, and then choose any of those videos to watch. So if you choose to do option 3 on math, that is how you get to it. So option 2, you can choose to do iStation, ST Math, Freckle Math, any of those, do those for 30 minutes. Option 3, you can go to that PBS link and watch any of those math videos that are there. And just as a reminder, whatever option you choose, make sure to circle that option. If you have like the paper AMI packet, make sure you circle which option you do. Or if you're using the online packet, just try to make a note of what today is Wednesday, April 8th. So make a note on a piece of paper. Wednesday, April 8th for math, I chose option, so put math, option 1. Reading, option 2. Just kind of make a list of what option you chose, so that way when you turn it in, we know what you actually did, which option you chose. So we will start by reviewing math, option 1. So I'm going to scroll down to our paper here. Math option 1 is the worksheet. And I'm going to share the screen so we can all look at it at the same time. So here is our math option 1. So today it is comparing decimals. So the directions say to use the greater than, less than, and equal to symbols to compare each set of decimals. And they give you this example one here. Number 1 is 21.070, and then the other number is 21.070. So 21.070 is equal to 21.07, because on that 21.07, we can know that right here is like that imaginary 0. There's that imaginary 0 that's right here. So that makes 21.070 equal to 21.07, because we know that over here by the 7 is that imaginary 0. So then for number 2, we'll look at number 2. Remember, when you're comparing decimals, you line them up, go place by place, compare them place by place. So I'm going to write number 2 on my board here, and then we're going to work it together. So number 2 is 784.15. So that's 784 and 1500ths. And then we have 13.0 So that's 13 and 64 tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 13 and 64 thousandths. So I'm gonna switch back to me. Situate my screen. Okay, so I just took the numbers, and this might help you as well. I took the numbers from problem number 2. That's 784.15 and our 13.06. And they want us to compare these two decimals. So what I did was I lined up my two numbers and I lined up the decimal points. And remember when we compare, we go place by place. So we're going to start by comparing the hundreds. So the top number is the only one that has 100. This is 784. This is just 13. So which one's going to be bigger? Is 784 bigger than 13? Yes. So remember, you always want your sign like the alligator. The alligator always wants to eat the bigger number. So for number 2, 784.15 is greater than 13.064. So in that box, you're going to put the greater than symbol. You're just going to go place by place. And this one just happens that when we start in the hundreds place, that 700, we already know that 784 is greater than 13. We don't even have to look at anything on the other side of the decimal point. So we already know that 784 is greater than 13. So 784.15 is greater than 13.064. So that's number 2. Let's look at a different type of one. So let's look at number 4. So this is number 4 on your worksheet. I'm going to put number 4 on the corner of my board so we know which one we're looking at. So I'm going to line the numbers they give me up. I'm going to line them up at the decimal point. So we have 32.4 and 32.41. So this is number 4 on the worksheet. So both of these start with 32 before the decimal. So we're going to have to look, on this one, we're going to have to look at what's after the decimal. So remember, we go place by place. So we're going to start in the tenths place. The tenths place for our top number has a 4, and the tenths place for our bottom number has a 4. So both of these in the tenths place, they're the same. They both have a 4. So now we're going to have to move over to the hundredths place. So over here on this 32.4, there's nothing here, but we know when there's nothing there, we have our imaginary 0. So there's our imaginary 0 in our hundredths place. So now we're going to compare hundredths place. So the top number, 32.4, there's like that imaginary 0 there in the hundredths place. So for this hundredths place, we have the imaginary 0. This hundredths place, we have a 1. So which one's bigger, 0 or 1? The 1's going to be bigger. So that makes 32.41 greater than 32.4. So remember, this is like our little alligator. He wants to eat the bigger number. So it's going to go like that. So 32.4, we just added our imaginary 0 to the end of that, is less than 32.41. So 32.4 is less than 32.41. We just added our imaginary 0 to 32.4. So it might be easier if you kind of stack your numbers like this and line up your decimal points, stack your numbers, and go place by place and compare the numbers. Just remember, when you're comparing decimals, go place by place and compare the numbers. So it might be easier to stack them up like that and line up the decimal points. Okay, so that is the top part of that worksheet. I'm going to share my screen again so we can go over the bottom part of the worksheet together. So the bottom part of this worksheet says, round each decimal to the given place. So it says round 782.164 to the nearest tenth. So let's look at our tenths place. I'm going to put my little cursor, hopefully you can see it, under the tenths place. So in this number, in the tenths place is 1. So we're going to look at the 1 and then we're going to look at the number right next to it. So what's right next to our 1? It is a 6. So remember, if the number next to it is 5 or above, we round that number up. So now our 1 is going to round up to a 2. So your answer is just going to be 782.2 because you're rounding to the nearest tenth. So when you rewrite the number, you're stopping at the tenth place. So 782.164 rounded to the nearest tenth. So in the tenth place, we had a 1. We looked at the number next to it. The number next to it is a 6. So that's 5 or above. So it's going to round our 1 up to a 2. So our answer is just going to be 782.2. Okay? So the next one is round 3.004 to the nearest whole number. So our whole number is 3. So anytime it says whole number, it's going to be everything that's to the left of the decimal point. So it says round to the nearest whole number. So right now our whole number is 3. So we're going to look over at what's next to it, and it's a 0. So that is, so 5 or above rounds it up. So anything 4 or below keeps it the same. So 0 means that we're going to keep it the same. So our answer for that, if we're just rounding to a whole number, our answer for that is just going to be 3. I'm going to hold it up in that little box. So your answer for number 2 is just going to be 3. Because that 0 means that the 3 is going to stay the same. 5 or above rounds it up. 4 or below keeps it the same. So our 3 is going to stay the same. So number 2, the answer to that will be 3. So on number 3, 943.492, round it to the nearest tenth. So you'll look at the tenth place and you'll see that that's a 4. So in the tenth place you have a 4. Then you're going to look at the number next to it. The number next to it is a 9. So it's that 5 or above. 5 or above is going to round it up. 4 below is going to keep it the same. So when you rewrite that number, just round it to the tenth place. So it's going to be 9.4. It's either going to be 943.4 or 943.5 as your answer for number 4. And then you have number 5, round 40.489 to the nearest whole number. So you're just going to focus on this number here. Is the answer going to be 40 or is the answer going to be 41? You're going to know based on this number right here, the 4. Okay, is the answer to number 5 40 or 41? So that's how you solve the second part of that math worksheet. You're just rounding to whatever place value they tell you. So that is your math worksheet. So if you choose to do option 1 today, that is the math worksheet that you do. And remember option 2, you can choose to do iStation, ST Math, Freckle, anything like that. Option 3, you follow that PBS link and filter it to 5 for 5th grade. And then you can watch any of those math videos that you choose, okay? And then next on our AMI sheet is reading. Let me scroll back up to reading. Okay, so reading says, please choose at least one option to complete. So for reading, option 1 is always choose a book and read it for 30 minutes. So pick up your favorite book, read for 30 minutes. Remember that you need to record the title, how many pages you read, and then write a paragraph summary about what you read, and then talk to somebody in your home about what you read. Option 2, log into iStation Reading and work on the reading section for 30 minutes. So you can do iStation Reading for 30 minutes, or if you're done with iStation Reading, you can do Freckle ELA, Spelling City. We still have our list up on that. So you can choose anything like that, do it for 30 minutes. And then option 3, read and make inferences on the attached practice page. So that's where they give you another worksheet to look at, and I'll share the screen again so that we can look at it together. Okay, so on this one, so this is for your reading, this is option 3. It says reading between the lines. It says an inference is a conclusion you come to based on reasoning and evidence within a text. It says read each paragraph below and answer the inference question that follows. So inference is kind of where you're making like an educated guess about what's going to happen next. So the first paragraph says, Harold grunted as he walked into the house. He carried 4 paper bags in his arms, each filled to the brim. Suddenly, he tripped and one of the bags fell, spilling oranges, a loaf of bread, and 2 sticks of butter onto the floor. At least I didn't drop the eggs, he exclaimed. Okay. So we're going to infer about where was Harold before he got home, and how do you know? So where do you think Harold had been before he got home? Well, we know from reading the paragraph that he's just walked into his house and he's carrying 4 paper bags in his arms. And each bag, the bags have oranges, bread, sticks of butter, and eggs. So if he has oranges, bread, sticks of butter, and eggs in a bag, and he's carrying them into his house, we can probably infer that he probably just got back from the store. So that's how you're going to do it. You're going to read the paragraph and it's going to ask you a question, and you're going to kind of infer about where they were at. So we can kind of infer that Harold was probably at the grocery store. And we know this because his bags are filled with oranges, a loaf of bread, butter, and eggs. So we can infer that he went to the grocery store to buy all those things, because where do you get all those things? You get all those things at the grocery store. So where was Harold before he got home? He was at the grocery store. How do you know? Because his bags were filled with oranges, bread, and butter. Okay, and then the next one, you're going to read about Renee, and it's going to ask you, where does Renee work? How do you know? Then you're going to read a paragraph about Patrick, and it says, what is Patrick celebrating? How do you know? And then you're going to read a paragraph about Lucy, and it says, who is Lucy? How do you know? So that is your option. Let me make sure I'm telling you the right option. That is option 3. So if you choose to do option 3, you just read those little paragraphs and answer the questions based on what you infer about what's happening in those little paragraph stories. So that is option 3. Option 4 would be to follow the PBS link. You just click the link, follow it. Once again, you filter it to 5 for 5th grade, and then you can watch any of those videos that they give you for language arts and literacy, and that would be your for your reading option today. And then you have writing. So they give you 2 options for writing today. So option 1 that you can choose from is choose from the following prompts and write a letter to someone. You can include this letter in your daily journal that you started earlier this week. So if you're doing that coronavirus pandemic journal, when you write a letter to someone today, you can include that in your journal, because chances are you're not going to be able to actually see the person that you write this letter to, but you can include it in your coronavirus pandemic journal, and then maybe after all this is over, you can share that letter with the person that you wrote it to. So it gives you two options for who you can write this letter to. So for the first prompt, it says, write a letter to a friend or relative that you haven't seen in a while. Tell them about what you have been doing and what you would like to do with them next time you see them. So just remember, when you start a letter, you always start with a salutation. So this one says, write a letter to a friend or relative that you haven't seen in a while. So I could write this letter to, let's say I could write this letter to my granny. So I would say, dear Granny. Or if I wrote it to my brother, I would say, dear Michael. Or my dad, dear Mom. But we're going to pretend I'm going to write this letter to my granny. So I'm going to start my letter with my salutation. Dear's over here. Dear Granny. And then you just write dear and you fill in whoever you're writing the letter to. So for me, it's dear Granny. And then I'm going to pretend like I'm writing a letter. I'm going to tell her all about everything I'm doing at home. I'm making video lessons for my students and playing ball with my dog. And I'm watching a lot of TV. I even went for a bike ride yesterday. So in your letter, in the body of your letter, you're just going to write and tell whoever you choose to write to, tell them all about what you're doing while you're being quarantined, while you're at home. Tell them about what you want to do with them when all this is over. So I might tell my granny that I would like to go shopping with her at Walmart, because I always went shopping with my granny every Saturday. So I could tell her that, hey, I want to go shopping with you one Saturday at Walmart after all this is over. And then remember, at the end of your letter, you always put your closing. So I love my granny, so I'm going to put love. And remember, after that, you're going to put a comma, love Megan. So that's how you format your letter. So I had Dear Granny at the top for my salutation, and it's Dear Granny, comma. So yours might be Dear Miss McGee, comma. Dear Mom, comma. Then you have the body of your letter, and then at the end of your letter, you have your closing. So I used love, comma, Megan. You could also do sincerely, comma, or thank you, comma, anything like that. So you always have to have to start your letter, you have to have a salutation, dear, and then the person's name, comma. Then you have the body of your letter underneath that, and then at the end, you have your closing, love, comma, sincerely, comma, thank you, comma. You have to remember to put the comma after that. So whatever word you choose for closing, make sure you put a comma after it. So option 1 would be you're writing a letter to a friend or relative you haven't seen in a while. Tell them about what you have been doing and what you would like to do with them the next time you see them. So you can write a letter to a friend or a relative. Or it gives you a different prompt. You could write a letter thanking someone you think has been a hero during this time. It could be someone in healthcare, someone who works at a grocery store, or someone else you think is heroic. So my mom works at Walmart, so I could always say, Dear Mom. And in the body of my letter, I could thank her for everything she does to help keep the shelves stocked at Walmart or to help keep the Walmart store running. So I could say, Dear Mom, and in the body of my letter, I would tell her all the things I'm thankful for, all the hard work she's doing during this pandemic. And then at the end, I would put love, comma, Megan. Sincerely, comma, Megan. Thank you, comma. Thank you might be a good closing to use because you're thanking them for what they're doing. So if you're writing to a nurse or a doctor, you could say, thank you, comma, and then your name at the closing of your letter because you're thanking them for what they are doing. So it would kind of look like this. You write it at the bottom of my board. And my U looks a little weird. So it'd be thank you, comma, and then you would put your name underneath that. So thank you would be a good closing for any letter that you write to someone thanking them for what they've been doing during this time. So you can either write a letter to a friend or a relative you haven't seen, or write a letter thanking someone you think has been a hero during this time. So remember, when you write a letter, you have to have the greeting or salutation, and then at the end of your letter, you have to have your closing. Okay, so option 1, you can choose to write a letter to someone. You can include that in your pandemic journal. Or option 2, go to the PBS link and select a video according to the age or grade level. So you'll follow that link, filter it to 5 for 5th grade, and watch any of those videos that you want to watch. Okay, and then I'm going to share the screen, and then we're going to do science. So today's science assignment is to read this little article they have here about tornadoes. So it says, explore tornadoes. And then it just has this long little article, these little few paragraphs about tornadoes, and then it gives you historical tornadoes, and then it gives you safety tips for during tornadoes. So you have your safety tips, historical tornadoes, and then this tells you everything about tornadoes, how tornadoes work, how tornadoes form, how they measure tornadoes using the Fujita scale. And then after you've read that little bit of information about tornadoes, you're going to come down here and it says explore tornadoes, and it gives you a little diagram of a tornado and how tornadoes work and how they spin. And then it says, after reading the article on tornadoes, please answer the following questions. So it says, what makes a tornado spin? So it's going to tell you that in the article. What is the Fujita scale? So you'll say the Fujita scale is, and it's going to give you the answer to that in the article. And then describe how a tornado moves. So it's going to tell you in the article about how tornadoes move. So you can say tornadoes move by, and then whatever it tells you in the article. So that is your science assignment for today. And I love to learn about tornadoes, so this is kind of an exciting one. So you'll just read this little article about tornadoes, has little historical facts and safety tips, and then a little diagram of a tornado, and then you just answer those 3 questions. And that's what you do for science today. And then We always end with our specialty activities, so you can either choose from PE, art, or music. So for PE today, it says find a ball, or you can make a paper ball if you don't have an actual ball at home. And it says using your best skills while dribbling, kicking, and controlling the ball. So you're going to use your best skills to dribble, kick, and control the ball, and you're going to repeat 15 to 20 times. So if you have a basketball, you're going to practice dribbling, kicking, controlling that basketball, and you're going to do that 15 to 20 times. So that is your PE choice today. For music today, it says identify any musical instruments used in the song you listen to. So you're going to pick a song to listen to, and then you're going to identify the musical instruments that are used in that song. So maybe they had brass, string, woodwind, percussion, electronic. What kind of instruments are they using in that song? For art today, your choice is to use objects and items from in and around your house to create a work of art of your choice. So you might go outside and find some leaves and some sticks or some flowers, or you might find things inside your home. It gives examples like aluminum foil, sticks, toys, tape, rubber bands. Find things around your house. Maybe you have an empty shoebox you could use. Or if you go outside and find things like sticks and leaves and flowers. Find things in or around your house and use those things to create your own work of art. So just create something out of those things. Be creative, use your imagination, and make something out of those things. So those are your choices for your specialty activities today. I just want you to remember that for each subject, for math, reading, writing, science, you only have to choose one option. And just make sure you record which option you're choosing for today. You don't have to do everything. You don't have to do all the options. You're just choosing one option for each subject each day, okay? So that is all of our work for today. Today, once again, is AMI Day 13. I feel like I'm eventually gonna remember or forget which day we are on. So far, I've done pretty good remembering which AMI day we are on. Today is AMI Day 13. Today is Wednesday, April 8th. Thank you guys for watching. As always, stay safe, stay healthy, and remember that Miss McGee loves you and misses you.